All right, forget everything you think you know about international football. The 2026 World Cup, it's not just a tournament anymore. It is a full-blown, extreme physical and tactical marathon that's literally designed to break fixed systems. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to decode the massive shifts, the hidden data, and the brutal realities of the upcoming games. So let's dive right in. The big question we really need to tackle today isn't just who's got the most talented squad, it's who is actually going to survive the most physically demanding World Cup ever conceived. With the massive expansion of the tournament format, the teams that succeed aren't just playing against each other. They're battling the environment, the clock, and their absolute physical limits. And that brings us to this staggering number, 104. That's the total number of matches that'll be played. We're jumping from the usual 64 matches up to 104, expanding across three enormous host countries, the US, Canada, and Mexico. We've got a record 48 teams competing, which introduces an entirely new knockout round, the round of 32. Which leads us to part one, the ultimate physical gauntlet. Look, this expanded format creates a completely different competitive landscape. We're talking 16 cities spread across an entire continent. The geography alone is going to dictate performance just as much as the tactics. To put that into perspective, look at Bosnia and Herzegovina. They are facing a punishing 5,000-kilometer travel route. They play in Toronto, then have to fly way over to LA, and then up to Seattle. Contrast that with France, who barely has to travel 600 kilometers the whole time. England's sitting somewhere in the middle, with about 2,800. And sports med experts are sounding the alarm here. Long flights disrupt sleep, hydration, and recovery, causing muscle swelling from lower cabin pressure. In a tournament with crazy 72-hour turnarounds, travel fatigue is a massive disadvantage.
But hey, the distance? That's really only half the battle. The climate reality is just as brutal. Climate researchers are estimating that roughly a quarter of these 104 matches are likely to be played in conditions that actually exceed safety limits recommended by the Players Union FIFPro. We're talking absolute scorching summer heat in cities like Dallas, Miami, and Mexico City. It is so severe that FIFA has already mandated 3-minute hydration breaks midway through each half. Players are going to be forced into behavioral thermal regulation, basically self-pacing, which means we're going to see a much more conservative style of football.
So moving on to part two. Tactics for tournament survival. So how exactly do managers respond to this cocktail of extreme heat and travel fatigue? Well, they're forced to fundamentally adapt. You simply can't not press like crazy for 7 matches in the North American summer heat. If a team mistakes their traditional playing identity for adaptability, they are going to be on a flight home by the second week for sure. Tactical analysts have mapped out 5 brutal shifts that will decide the winner. Teams have got to abandon constant high pressing for calculated trigger pressing. They absolutely need to use inverted fullbacks to create midfield overloads without complex training. They need to use squad rotation, and not just to rest guys, but as a tactical weapon to change shape mid-game. Because open play breaks down when legs get tired, set pieces are going to decide those tight knockout games. And finally, positional flexibility is mandatory. Players have to be able to seamlessly execute 3 or 4 different roles. Let's zoom in on that very first point. Trigger pressing. Look, constant high pressing is officially a luxury of the past. The teams that survive are going to use trigger pressing. Instead of running themselves into the ground, a team sits really compact in a mid-block to conserve energy. They only explode into a coordinated press the exact second a specific trigger happens, like an opposition center back receiving the ball with their back to goal or a slightly heavy first touch. It creates this sudden, unexpected suffocation while saving precious energy for the heat. All right, part 3, tech revolution on the pitch. While tactics are evolving down on the grass, there is a massive tech revolution happening in the stadiums themselves to govern these matches. The 2026 World Cup is introducing tech designed to totally speed up the game and level the playing field. Take the leap forward in officiating. We're moving away from the old VAR system. You know, the one with those long, agonizing delays where data went to the video assistant referee first. Now we have the new Advanced Semi-Automated Offside Technology, or SAOT. Clear positional offsides are sent instantly, directly to the match officials on the pitch. Every single player is 3D scanned, and 16 optical tracking cameras in each stadium map their digital avatars in real time. This lets assistant referees flag way quicker, which drastically cuts down the injury risk in those super dangerous moments between an offside happening and the whistle finally blowing. And this tech extends straight to the dugouts too, through something called Football AI Pro. Back in the day, FIFA would hand teams these massive 60-page data reports that required armies of analysts to decode. Now, generative AI lets teams easily extract exactly the insights they need. It's a total democratization of data. Not every one of the 48 nations has the budget to bring a massive analytics department. So by giving every team the exact same advanced AI tracking, FIFA's basically guaranteeing a much more level tactical playing field. Next up, part 4, the pre-tournament injury crisis. Unfortunately, the physical toll of the modern game has already struck, and the opening whistle hasn't even blown yet. The compressed club schedules leading up to this have sparked a massive pre-tournament injury crisis that's drastically shifting the power dynamics. We're already seeing major casualties in the warm-ups. Heavyweights are missing their absolute centerpieces. Argentina's Lionel Messi is dealing with muscular fatigue and overload. Brazil is navigating the massive absence of Neymar. Spain's teenage sensation Lamine Yamal and France's defensive anchor William Saliba have also been ruled out or are seriously struggling with injuries. These absences completely scramble the tactical plans for the heavy favorites. Which brings us to part 5, dark horses to watch. Because of this huge 48-team format, the insane travel, and these injuries to the absolute giants of the sport, 2026 is heavily rewarding highly organized, defensively sound sleeper squads. Every World Cup has that one team nobody believed in making a deep run, right? Well, this format practically guarantees it. Here are 4 dark horses perfectly positioned to exploit the chaos. First up, Mexico. Their massive advantage is altitude. Playing group matches in Mexico City and Guadalajara at over 5,000 feet above sea level in the blistering heat against teams totally unaccustomed to thin air, lethal. Then there's Norway, coming in with an incredible qualifying average of over 4 goals a game, spearheaded by the elite scoring of Erling Haaland. Switzerland brings a phenomenal defensive record, conceding just 2 goals in UFA qualifying. And finally, Senegal, the reigning Afghan champions, bringing elite talent and proven tournament pedigree to the table. Finally, part 6, who will win it all? So when you take into account the travel, the intense heat, the tactics, the tech, and the injuries, who's actually going to lift the trophy? To figure this out, we're looking at 2 completely different data-driven prediction models. First up, the Opta supercomputer's AI probabilities. The AI heavily favors the European powerhouses. Spain is the statistical favorite with a 16.1% chance, driven by their insane talent pool. Following them, we've got France at 12.8%, England with 11%, and the defending champs Argentina sitting at 10%. This supercomputer heavily weighs recent results and squad depth, basically running millions of tournament simulations to get these numbers. But then we have the Clement model, and this one offers a stark contrast. Joachim Clement is a German economist who built a proprietary formula measuring stuff like GDP per capita, population, temperature, and FIFA rankings to assess team strength. While Opta favors Spain, Clement's model predicts an absolute shocker: the Netherlands defeating Portugal in the final. Now, why should we listen to him? Well, because Clement's models successfully predicted the winners of the 2014, 2018, and 2022 World Cups with a 100% success rate. No joke. Yet even the guy who flawlessly predicted the last 3 tournaments issues a pretty stark warning. The absolute most crucial point to take away from all this data, the AI, the analysis, is simply this: 50% of each match is luck. You can model the travel distances perfectly, you can run an absolutely flawless trigger press, you can use generative AI to scout your opponent into the ground. But when 2 elite teams face off in the stifling heat of a knockout game, a single random bounce of the ball changes history. The 2026 World Cup is shaping up to be an unpredictable, chaotic, and physically grueling spectacle unlike literally anything we have ever seen in sports history. Will the AI's safe bet of Spain hold true, or will Clement's wild prediction of a massive Dutch upset actually happen? We'll be right here decoding every single tactical shift and data point along the way. If you found this explainer helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button to survive the 2026 World Cup chaos with us. Thanks so much for watching, and